All right, let's try this again. Is everything working? Okay, so basically my computer looks different. Things happened. I'll put an explanation at the end of the video, sort of, and then we can go from there. And it sort of explains why I haven't been making videos. But we're going to talk about doing dubstep basses today. We're going to skip the post-processing part because I haven't installed OTT because I just did that, like, got this computer back up and running, basically. Okay. So we have a serum. We're going to use FabFilter Q to essentially display all these features that I would like to explain. Alright, so we have these. We can see my waves. That's good. Okay, so now if we basically want to go about making dubstep, what we need to remember is like fundamental factors of these. So that's going to be filters and effects, and like at some point we'll talk about the wavetables. So as far as filters go, good filters for this in Serum would be HP and HN right here. So we have like a high pass that comes with a essentially peak filter. So it's something like this if you look at it in a fab filter, like, or EQ sort of way. So it's like this, and you can move them separately. What you want to achieve with this is you can do the resonance and then making some sort of pattern here. I'll do one I did earlier, which goes like this. So this is just gonna be like a wow wow wow, and it's gonna sound like that. Okay. And we will go ahead and with this. However, before we start, basses, I usually do them between C0 and halfway between C1, just a reference point, or any octave, but then just you had to tune down the oscillators, but I never tune my oscillators. Basically, I leave them where they are. So we're going to modulate this to the we're going to do that. And then we're going to modulate the frequency a little bit, move it a little closer, just a little bit. You can decide how much. That's a lot of movement though, so maybe not so much. The saw wave is going to sound fairly rough. Okay, there we are. That's what the HP sounds like. The HN sounds like this. So this one has a bit of a more like rough feel, like gritty feel to it. And this one has more vowel feel to it. So this one is this with the frequency, and then the cutoff moves the high pass, essentially. It's one of my favorites. Maybe we'll use it. So that's about it for filters. You can also get into things like formant, like band rejects or combs or reverbs. Those can give you some really funky options if you don't go overkill with them. They're for a rhythm, which is they go good with FM basically. So now we're gonna start going into the FX. It's fun to modulate your hyper like this. I like distortion, and then mix in the drive in the drive, and then mix in the mix. You can change these, but basically this stops it from being like, which is quite harsh. This lets you get like sort of the same effect but turn down the volume, because you need to get the max drive for that effect. Phasers, flangers, chorus are all good, even delays, compressors. Reverb has good effects, and then EQ and filters for any extra nonsense. But what we're going to do is talk about this compressor real quick. Essentially, multiband is super important for this stuff. Makes it like super gritty. We'll drive this in, then gain it up. Sounds good. Like the multiband, I mean, not the sound. You can do in phasers if you want, where what you do is you kind of mix in the phasing, and you turn off the rate, and then you kind of fuck with the depth and the frequency here. Yeah. And this is getting to the dubstep-y sort of area. An extra option we have here is to automate the volume like this. This gives like a lot of dynamic range to the bass, which is really nice. On top of that, you can add in dynamic range with sub, like this. Pretty interesting. You can modulate in white noise of any sort. Which kind of helps fill in that high end. It's a little too much though, I think. Yeah, kind of like that. So you can see we already have like we're already kind of moving a direction, you know, and all we've got is a saw wave. And we can go through and take like any sort of, like that actually sounds sort of cool. And you could take a sound like this, go find a triangle wave in the basic shapes, turn this oscillator off, put on the FM, put this up 3 octaves and 7 semitones. You're starting to get textures, so you can see like this is like kind of the basis of things. The waveforms just bring it a little step farther, such as like well, maybe I'm just using a bad choice of waves here. If we try this, yeah, that's pretty good. All of my waves are gone right now, but essentially you can import any waves you want inside of Serum, which opens up like ridiculous possibilities, in my opinion. So I'm going to show you right here with just taking some basses. We're going to go ahead and make some wavetables. So let's take this bass sound here. It's just, I'll play it beforehand. It sounds like this. So we can take it, drag it over. Most DAWs, like pretty much every DAW will let you drag from the browser. Do import constant frame size on the pitch average. We have a sound. We're going to turn this off for a second. We have this sound. So we can see we've generated a wavetable. However, if we scroll through it, it's see here what it's doing. It sounds bad. So let's actually open another Serum. Okay, I have both my Serums open. So the one on the right was the one we were working with, and the one on the left is a new one, which we can better understand what this is doing. So if I drag this in here, the constant pitch, this is what the spectrum essentially looks like. It moves quite a bit, but you hear how rough it is? That's kind of garbage. So the problem with this is if you come and look in here, the waves are not very good. They change way too fast for the pitch size, like for the frame size they're in. So either you find a smoother bass, such as this, and then we can try this one. And you can hear that's much smoother, and you can even see it in here. And you know why? Is because essentially the phase is it's completing a waveform, which is quite interesting. However, this one was much more gritty. So we can come in here and go to Process, Normalize each gain separately, and then really look at this waveform. It's insanely different per wave. So there might be like 256 of them, but they have no way to properly like go from one to another. So what you can do is you can come in and destroy by shift clicking a ton of these in remove multi-selections, and basically like pick and choose what waves you want to stick around. Let's try like getting rid of that. So then we have a few here. It's a bit much. Let's get rid of 3 more. Here we are. And then now I'm down to just a few waveforms. That's what I got. There's some grit in there. And then it's got some subharmonics. But it's got some grit towards the end. So that's kind of important. So I can come into morph. And I'll do morph spectral 0 fundamental phase. This prevents any kind of like weird clipping when you go between the waves. Now we can see we have smooth wave movements. And that's super important for this. For doing these waves. So that's what you have to do to smooth out waves. If not, I used to have this problem when I first started messing with serums. They come out really bad. And that will be essentially the waveform section done. Then you can modulate this in here. Let's do the same thing here. I'll just do it a little more. And then process normalized each gain, 0 fundamental, and then this waveform's still a little questionable. Didn't do it right. And then go into bend minus, or plus, or PMW, or mirror, or you can get into remap, which is like custom warping. And this is just essentially the start of what goes on here, and then you can get into like crazy pitch bends. And yeah. Totally loving the fact that I can just like plug my MacBook into my iMac on target disk and like go through and find things that I want. So I could go to like my documents or the desktop of the here, like users, me, desktop. Then we have a desktop. This is nice. New folder with items. This is what I wanted. Oh, so like my iMac crashed. Essentially, uTorrent. I've torrented many things once upon a time. Is like to just like demo them or whatever. And finally karma has caught up, and I thought my computer was like something I thought there was something wrong with Premiere Pro and iMovie because of like OS Sierra, but I think I already had like I was basically just having corruption problems with my video files, which was weird. So that was just something with OBS, and then so I tried to go quickly just download Final Cut Pro off uTorrent because I've done it before on my iMac and it worked, to see if it worked. Essentially the file had like a text folder file that was like download the Final Cut here, and then the rest of the folder was like the malware. And I was like, okay, well, the text file looks sketchy. And then I was looking at like the folders, and the folders look sketchy as well. And then I tried the link, and the link didn't even work. It was broken because so many people were downloading the update for Final Cut. So then I tried the software, downloaded malware, removed it all. There was some sneaky stuff that still got stuck on my computer, and essentially it just kept downloading files like without me knowing, and it got to the point where like I would try to record a video for basically like the fifth time, and my video just kept, like, the files just kept getting corrupted, and eventually my software started crashing. So I restarted my iMac, and I need to target disk my MacBook because they're essentially copies of each other, my MacBook and such. So I need to re-download all of this stuff on here. So I have my some schoolwork. Oh, you know what I need is also I need my private, my Ethan folder, whatever. Ableton projects, Bitwig Studio project, my sample library, stuff like that. I'm moving over here. So this is like why I haven't been making videos, is because they keep getting corrupted. So in case you're curious, I'll put this at the end of the dubstep video that I'm gonna attempt to make after I have this set up here. I essentially only have like Serum and FabFilter on my computer as far as like VSTs are going here. Like, this is all I got, all I really need, and then add Serum for the moment, but hopefully in the future not.